For a while I felt like a king, until I came to a realization. If a regular guy like me could kill the most powerful man in the city, what good was all his power? Hell, if he hadn't been so powerful, he'd probably still be alive. It seemed to me that no matter how strong someone was, there was always somebody stronger to take them out.
So where did that intuitive thought take you?
Greediness is bullshit. When you have no money, you think that a few bucks a month will be enough. Then you realize that it wouldn't be bad to have a nice car. You get a great job in some high-up position, but in actuality, you're thinking about going higher. Before you know it, you want to be the President of the United States, and you want to win the war against the Germans. Luckily, that won't happen. Plus, the whole strategy of watching other people's backs has one basic flaw. The whole time you have to watch your own back in case someone else has the same idea. So I thought to myself that maybe I ought to change my priorities a little.
Great Bible story.
Initially, I thought this is one of those old games that people fond of but doesn't really age that well. The facial animation looks stiff, the voice acting sounds goofy at times.
Visit.
The driving feels rough. And don't even get me started on the combat. However, as I keep playing, I gradually started to warm up to it. It is as if every single of my complaints turns into an appreciation. Anyway, I'm playing on the Steam version. The moment I boot it up, I notice several problems, so let's get into it. As you can see here, the interface is stretched with low quality image. You can also spot flickering shadows and blurry objects in the distance. Not only that, there's supposed to be a music in this section, which is absent. To fix this, first, we need to head to this Steam guide page. Download this file here. Then extract the content to the games folder. Don't forget to backup the original. Then, rename the sounds folder into something like sounds_disabled. Also, don't forget to limit your frame rate to 60 FPS. For the second step, head to this mod page. Download the file. Extract it anywhere in your PC. Then, launch the executable and choose your installation folder. For the mod list, you can follow my list here if you want it to look exactly like mine. Some people like to use the car and texture pack, but I personally prefer the original as the texture mods kind of makes everything looks too clean. Then, check both the DirectX and delete previous mod options. For the third and final step, after the installation finished, head to the game folder and choose setup. Copy all of my preset here and adjust the resolution to your monitor. Then, just save and exit. Open TG Voodoo. Copy my preset again. Then select OK. And that's it. You can launch the game now.
Hey, could you take me to the church downtown, please?
Okay.
The story starts off in 1938 by having Tommy, the main protagonist, meeting with Detective Norman in a bar. In other words, he tries to convince the detective to enlist him in a witness protection program in exchange for information. Tommy introduces himself as one of the higher-ranked Mafia in one of the largest crime organizations in Lost Haven, led by Don Salieri.
That guy sickens me. He controls half of the brothels in the city, doesn't pay us a dime, and then has the nerve to say he's ending crime in the city.
As he tells his story, the game events happens in a series of flashbacks by having Tommy narrating his own experience from the very beginning. I find this to be a rather engaging format. As the story unravels, I cannot wait to see things unfold. Especially when the year's getting closer and closer to 1938. I keep wondering to myself who's going to betray who and what led Tommy to this very decision. Granted that this may not be an original format, but it surely works well here. On the surface, the gameplay loop only consists of driving, shooting, and brawling. However, the game often spices things up with intense car chase, on-foot chase, ambush, vandalism, and some story-exclusive mechanics. There is even a mission where all you have to do is standing on the train, wait for the train to physically arrive on the destination. The developer did a very good job on making sure that almost every main mission is conceptually varied and different from one another. It makes almost every mission feels unique and memorable. You can also explore the world in between missions, but there's no reason to do so other than sightseeing. This is because the world functions more as an interactive backdrop instead of an actual sandbox. From the technical perspective, you can tell that this game has aged significantly. But once you get used to the jank, you will slowly buying the illusion of living in 1930s. The city feels bustling with life, variety, and details. It is like you are in the middle of an active and constantly moving city.
Oh my god, look what you've done! Stop! I want to get out!
The character models are surprisingly detailed. They have distinct facial features, expression, and even little details such as blinking eyelids, lip sync, and smoke effect. There are also various animations for different interaction. I love how you can see building interior sometimes, and speaking of interior, each interior filled with charm and carefully placed decorations. Some of the missions are also curated, both visually and audibly, to fit a specific theme. For example, in a trip to the country mission, they want to give a horror feel to it. You can feel the night rain, creaking sound, and this eerie general sensation throughout the entire beginning. Another example is in Happy Birthday Mission, where you can enjoy a party on a cruise during a beautiful sunset. Speaking of visual, it won't be complete without hearing the other half of the experience, which is the sound. This is the one part where it surprised me the most. I don't know what is it with old games, but games like Deus Ex, System Shock, Thief, they seem to do sound very well. Mafia is not the exception here. From busy streets, car engine, train, restaurant,
Long time.
Molto grazie, Doc. Present from a gourmet like you always makes me feel it with joy.
Oh, please, I'm no gourmet.
racetrack, and even outskirts. They will deeply immerse you into the world. To complement the already impressive sound design, the game also provides you with plenty of memorable soundtrack. Each district has their own distinct period-relevant soundtrack. It also has few but memorable original soundtrack, which usually appear during mission briefing, combat, and a regular cutscene. When it comes to cutscene, I found an interesting observation while playing the game. I realized that, despite the budget and technological limitation, the cutscenes manage to evoke feelings and a sense of connection. Why? Because it has proper direction and characterization. Each character feels distinctly unique with their own quirks and ambition. The camera keeps moving, changing angle, giving an idea of the situation. And the best thing about it is that it takes its time. One of the most important things in any storytelling is the build-up. The waiting game is as important as the climax. This game successfully captures that feeling of calm before the storm. Let me give you a little example. In this scene, Tommy is waiting outside for his friends to collect protection money.
Shit! Bastards! Tom, I took one! It hurts! Jesus Christ, Paulie!
Tell Salieri from here on out this place is ours. Capiche? Don't come back here, you'll end up in worse shape than your friends.
Get Sam!
Can you feel how tense the waiting was? That feeling of uncertainty, worry, and imminent danger. All of it makes the climax feels very rewarding. And this is one of many examples. Despite the age, the world they managed to build is surprisingly mesmerizing. This is thanks to several different small elements that, as a whole, contributes as a foundation of a living, breathing city. Just take a look at this. You can see pedestrians passing by, crossing the road, enter or exiting a car, train and trams passing by. You could see railways and railroad functioning. And last but not least, a moving bridge in real time. Can you imagine that? So, sightseeing aside, what can you actually do in it? Well, these modes of transportation aren't just there for the sake of being there. For a starter, you can hijack cars like in Grand Theft Auto. You can enter trams and trains seamlessly. The trains also move in real time, stopping at each station. Impressive, right? So now you may ask, is that all there's to it? Well, you see this, guys? This game probably has one of the most reasonably designed wanted system. Police won't appear out of nowhere, such simple thing yet often neglected. You will only be held accountable for speeding, crashing, violence, burglary only if there's one around, which means you can get away with crime like I usually do. You can find them roaming the sidewalk or passing by in a car. It is not perfect as you don't see NPC reaching for a phone booth, but I feel like it strikes the fine balance between enforcing and compromising the law for the sake of video game fun. Unfortunately, there's not much aside from what I've mentioned. It is such a shame that to this day, Mafia has never put much effort into its world function. There is no minigames, restaurant you can visit, local stores, clothing, and all of these little functions that make a city feels immersive. Mafia 2 is probably the exception for this franchise, but even that is still a low bar for open world design. I understand that Mafia, ultimately, is a linear game, not an open world. But it won't hurt to, add some interactivity or fun to the world. I'll be honest, it's ass bruh, there's no way to sugarcoat it, but I guess maybe we'll start with the positives, just to be fair, Let's start with cars. For a game about crime organization and drama, I'm quite surprised by how they handle cars. To put it simply, they went full bananas with it. Handling, engine, destruction, the whole 9 yards. Each car feels distinctly unique from one another. You can really feel the socio-economic inequality when driving a cheap car compared to an expensive one. And it is not just about the feel. I love how involved it feels to drive a car in this game. You don't simply press the button and move, which you can if you want, but the game gives you option, alright? You see these indicators on the bottom corner? There's a functional speedometer, speed limiter if you want to be safe around the police. You can also manually switch gear. That odometer right there, it switches in real time as you drive. You can also run out of gas, which I never did. Well, except maybe for that one time when I stole a car. But you can refill it in the gas station. So, how about the missions? I would say this is the point where the game reaches its highest high and lowest low. What's the highest? It is the constant fresh idea between missions. There's not a single main mission that feels the same between one another. Each mission has its own unique structure, setting, and gameplay quirks. On one night, you could be doing a sabotage of a higher-end race car. The next evening, you could be on a cruise ship disguising as a sailor. On one afternoon, you could be having a lunch with your boss. The next, you could be infiltrating an abandoned prison. The point is, the mission concept is full of ideas and never repeated. So, what's the low? As I've mentioned earlier, it's the gameplay. The gameplay can be separated into 4 categories, which are driving, chase, fistfight, and gunplay. The driving is pretty good as I've mentioned earlier. The chase is kinda... and the combat is just ass bruh. In a fistfight, you can hit and hold to hit harder. That's it, no dodge, parry, block, or whatever. Listen man, I don't expect it to be Sifu or Sekiro, but when you're being ganged up by enemies with questionable hitbox, and all you can do is throwing fists to the air, hoping it to lands. Tommy is a fragile man, he dies very easily, yet it can take a while to beat up enemies. Now imagine the frustration when you're surrounded by these pricks, man. So then, how about the gunplay? I would say that it's better than the fistfight, but that's not saying much. For a plus, you can access a large variety of weapons depending on the mission. Each weapon has its own unique feel and advantages. And that is where it ends. As I said earlier, Tommy is fragile and the enemy accuracy can be insane. There's no such thing as proper cover system or any defining mechanics. So, the only way to survive an encounter is by doing a peekaboo, or snipe them with a Thompson. This can be especially difficult when the checkpoint is rather far, like in the country or airport mission. I would say that it is serviceable at best, but is it fun though? I don't think so. There's also this thing called free ride. Basically, it is a free roam mode. It plays a bit differently compared to the base game. You can earn the money by doing some shenanigans or being a taxi driver. You can then use the money to buy weapons, fix car, or heal yourself. You can also do some mission in the free ride extreme mode, which can be unlocked after you finish the game. I don't engage much with this mode other than free roaming, so that's all I can say.
Mr. Salieri would like to thank you as well as myself and Paulie. It's compensation for the damage to your car and your services. It should be enough.
Yes, of course. Thanks. Give my regards to Mr. Salieri.
Mr. Salieri wants you to know that he is very grateful to you. If you ever need anything, you can come back and ask for help, because Mr. Salieri doesn't forget about friends who have helped him out. If you're interested, maybe we could find a job for you here, and it would pay well. We always have positions for guys as good as you.
Okay. I'll think about it. Thanks. Really thanks. I'd better go to fix the car and so on.
All right. I understand. Just think about it. And I hope it's clear that this matter is only between ourselves. You take care, kid.
The final and strongest aspect of any Mafia game is the story, and this game is no exception. From my understanding, they built the story around the character, not the other way around, which means that each character simply has their own life, motivation, and ambition. Take Tommy for example. He is simply trying to survive and live comfortably. Working as a cab driver won't cut it, so he finds himself entangled in the Salieri family. Now, let's take a look at Mr. Salieri himself. On the surface, he may seem like a decent boss who tries to keep everything running smoothly. But deep down, he has an ambition to reach the top, by all means.
Tommy pulled it off. Now all the politicians in the city are scared. Nobody wants to end up like the counselor.
Nice job, Tom.
But it's not enough.
Then, we have Paulie and Sam, our friends for life. Paulie is a witty, tough, and dangerous mafioso. He has a strong sense of solidarity, friendship, and a slice of ambition on the side. On the contrary, Sam is a little bit sophisticated and composed in manner. He is more focused on getting the job done well, keeping things grounded and staying loyal to the family. From these descriptions, you can kinda imagine how the story will play out. When it comes to writing, I'm not proficient in analyzing a story, but I can say for certain that the writing hooked me. When I started to play the game, I did not expect the story to go this hard. Every single character is fleshed out. You can feel the tension and drama at every turn. Which brings us to the plot. Despite the obvious introduction, when you are slowly climbing the food chain, nailing scores after scores with your friends, you feel untouchable. Death-defying mission, overcoming the impossible, surviving the unexpected, the whole 9 yards. But then, as this family thing keeps going, you start to feel uneasy. A sense of doubt starts to creep in. Then, you realize something. This way of life is a dead end. There is no such thing as enough. Even when you are on the top, there will always be something else, something more to chase. By that point, it is already too late. You either find a way out, as tight as it may seem, or double down. There is no in between. At the end, finally you understand why Tommy ends up the way he did. Overall, I think the original Mafia 1 is one of a kind. If you can look past the jank, there is something worthwhile to be experienced in it. Unlike the recent Mafia games, this one feels raw and wholehearted, if that makes sense. It is like a bunch of passionate Europeans pouring their 110% in a cave with a box of. It is beautiful. I guess that is all for this video. Thank you for watching and may you have a beautiful day.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes?
Mr. Salieri sends his regards.
You know, the world isn't run by the laws written on paper. It's run by people. Some according to laws, others not. It depends on each individual how his world will be, how he makes it. And you also need a whole lot of luck, so that somebody else doesn't make your life hell. And it ain't as simple as they tell you in grade school. But it is good to have strong values and to maintain them, in marriage, in crime, in war. Always and everywhere. I messed up. So did Paulie and Sam. We wanted a better life, but in the end, we were a lot worse off than most other people. You know, I think it's important to keep a balance in things. Yeah, balance, that's the right word. Because the guy who wants too much risks losing absolutely everything. Of course, the guy who wants too little from life might not get anything at all.